Alright, ladies and gents, in this video we're going to create an animation controller for our player object that we can then plug into our new player, and then we might have a look at changing the movement script to play the different animations based on what we're doing. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to right click on my anim folder or my animations folder. I'm going to create, and I'm going to create an animator controller. Alright. I'm going to call this my player controller, and once I've done that I'm just going to double click on it. You can see now that it opens up this animator beside our scene. Now this is a little bit compact, so I'm going to change from my bolt to my design. Right, and once I jump ship to my design, I'm going to make sure I'm back in my animator by double clicking on player controller. So what this does is it allows us to control what animation is playing and when. So before we get into that, we first need something to control what's playing. To do that, I'm going to go to parameters up the top. Right, you can currently see it's empty, so I'm going to click on this plus sign here. I'm going to go down to an integer, and I'm going to create a state variable. Right, and I'll use this to control what happens over here. So now what we need to do is we need to drag our animations over. To do that, we just simply click on our animations in our animation folder and drag it in. So I'll drag in my attack, my idle, my jump, and my run. Now you can see the first one you drag in, it automatically snaps this entry to. Now I don't want my default to be attack, so I'm going to go to my idle one. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to say set as default layer. Alright, so now the first thing that will happen when the game is played is it will play this idle animation. Now that I've got that set, I'm just going to move my other animations around it based on what I want it to be able to do. So for this particular animation, game character, I want it to be able to go from idle to run, idle to jump, idle to attack. Alright, and I'll make some transitions from run to attack as well. To make these transitions, all you need to do is right click on the animation, click on make transition, and then connect it to what you want it to. And you need the transitions to go both ways, so I'm going to right click on run and make a transition back to idle. Alright, so I'm going to do that for all of my animations here. Alright, just right clicking, make transition, and drag them back and forth. Alright, so now you can decide what animations you want to be able to work between each other. Alright, so I want to be able to go from running to jumping, so I'm going to right click and connect these two as well. So now I've got this, I can get to use my state to control what plays and when. So in order to make that work, you select these transitions or these arrows that point in the direction. So I'm going to make everything that points towards idle. I'm going to go to my list of conditions over here, and I'm going to add, and I'm going to make it so that the state is equal to 0. Right, so for all of the transitions that go back towards idle, I'm going to add and make it equal to 0. Alright, now for transitions that go towards a run, I'm going to do the same thing, but instead of equaling 0, I'm going to make these equal 1. For transitions heading towards jump, I'm going to make it equal 2. And then, as you can assume, the transitions going towards attack, I want to have equal 3. Now looking at this, I'm also going to want to transition from my run to my attack. So I'm going to make some more transitions and give them the corresponding number. So transitions to run is 1, and transitions to attack is 3. So now I've got my animation controller set up. Alright, I'm going to go back to my player and my game object. Alright, and I've got my animator here. I'm going to drag this animator that we just made, the controller, player controller, into the animator controller. Now that we've done that, we can test whether or not this is going to work. To do that, I'm going to select my animator and drag it over to the side. Alright, I'll have my game open. I'll hit play. Alright, so I'm going to move my player over. You can see the animations aren't changing yet because we haven't set up the programming, but the idle plays defaultly. Alright, so it doesn't matter what I'm doing, the idle is playing. You can see that here. So if I change my state now to say 1, right, you can see that they run. Now if I change the state to something that run is connected to, so either attack or jump, so let's make them jump. Right, you can see it's cycling through the jump animation. Now for jump, we don't want it to continuously cycle through, we just want it to play once and then stop. So we'll adjust that in a minute. So if I change this to something that jump is not connected to, so say attack, if I go from 2 to 3, alright, they don't have a transition between them, so you can still, it keeps playing jump. So what we need to do is we need to go back to 0, or our idle state, and then change it to 3, which is our attack. Alright, you can see again that it's stuck on a loop. Now we don't want this to loop through, we just want it to play the animation once and then stop. So let's fix those two animations. So we're going to leave play mode. Alright, I'm going to go back to my animator. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my jump animation here, and then I'm going to double click on it. And you can see that it's got a loop time. So I'm going to click on that to turn it off. I'm going to do the same thing for my attack. So double click on the attack, turn off loop time. And so if we wanted, we can test this again. So press play. Right across from on the camera, and if I change it to attack, you can see it attacks once and then the animation stops. Alright, and then same thing for jump. Alright, it jumps and then the animation stops again. Alright, that's perfect. So we're going to leave this video here, ladies and gents, and in the next one we're going to modify our player movement script so that based on what we're inputting into our player controller, it plays the relevant animation here.